Hey, what's going on, everybody? So in this video, I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about bribery, kickbacks, percentages, referral fees, etc. that you may be approached by someone somewhere at some point in time in your business. It's almost 100% guaranteed that you're going to come across this at least one time in business, and how to recognize it and what to do if it happens to you, and what rights do you have, and how do you recognize if it's right or wrong. Keep in mind that this is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. So let's get straight into the podcast. So kickbacks is something that happens with businesses quite a bit. So what happens is that people have a service business. You could be a plumber, electrician, auto detailing, if you're an auto detailer, a landscaping company. You could even be an interior designer trying to provide services, and you may have someone come up and say, or you may be an on-site mechanic, and you have someone that comes up out of the blue, or someone calls you or sends an email and says, hey, you can't service your client. So if your business, your business has a client here, and this is your business, and you have a client, and your contract is between you two. Then all of a sudden you have this guy that's over here, this gal, guy, whoever, that comes from left field that you never heard of and says, hey, you can't serve that client and you can't provide that product or that service unless you give us a kickback. Now, they may not say a kickback. They may frame it as an access fee or a percentage of revenue or something like that. Okay? They'll want a fee. They want a fee, a referral fee, an access fee, something like that. Well, in those type of situations, and I'm going to show you the actual laws that kind of go into this. This is all free information that's online. You could type it into Grok. You could put it in ChatGPT. Any more information's out there is right at your fingertips. Google was an awesome place to go, but now with AI, you could pretty much pull up anything. And if you feel that this has happened to you after going over everything, contact an attorney, contact a lawyer, contact law enforcement. I'm going to give you the information that's on here, some suggestions of who you can contact. And if you don't want to do that, you may just decide, hey, it's not even worth the headache of dealing with that client and dealing with that customer to have to deal with a third-party person trying to strong-arm you into giving them a percentage of what you're working hard for. So that's just that. So to make clear, this is different from having a business relationship. Let's say if you're doing a professional service and you have a cooperative agreement with another business or another entity or an organization to where they're getting referral fees from you, your business, okay, and they're referring clients to you, and you give them a percentage back. They give you something, you give them something. You give them, it's an exchange going on. But if it's only a one-sided exchange and you don't have anything in writing and there's nothing disclosed up front, and someone just comes from left field and just walks up to you and makes a phone call and says, hey, I need a percentage, you need to kind of step back and ask yourself, is this something I really want to even do? Is this client who I'm working for, not the person that calls you for the kickback, but is the client even worth working for? Is it even worth this headache? So let's get into this. Let me show you, and let's just kind of go over what is a kickback. Okay, a kickback, requiring a business to pay kickbacks, and this goes for government officials, this goes for private individuals, this goes for contractors, this goes for everyone. It can go towards plumbers, electricians, landscapers, auto detailing. It can go towards architects. It can go towards tilers, concrete workers. It doesn't matter. It applies to everyone. Okay, it's just something to kind of keep them painters. It applies to any service-based business and any product business. If you're delivering a product to a client or to a customer and someone wants to get a kickback off of you, that may not be legal. So I'm not saying that it is 100% illegal, but it is something that you need to sit back and be like, you're going to need to get some legal advice on it and find out if it is. So, is requiring a third party requiring a business to pay kickbacks or any form of illicit rebate, bribe, or referral fee to gain access to clients is illegal in the United States. This practice falls under commercial bribery or anti-kickback laws, as it distorts fair competition, influences decisions improperly, and can lead to criminal penalties like fines, imprisonment, or business license revocation. Reasons why it's illegal. Okay. Federal laws under the Anti-Kickback Act, 41 U.S.C. 51 ETSEQ, kickbacks are prohibited in government contracts and subcontracts, including any money, fee, commission, credit, gift, or anything of value given for preferential treatment. The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act also bans them from bribing foreign officials and broader implications for U.S. businesses. Okay. Next, tax implications. The IRS disallows deductions for illegal kickbacks under 26 U.S.C. 162C, treating them as non-deductible bribes if they violate federal or enforce state laws. Most states have commercial bribery statutes that criminalize secret payments, including influencing business decisions, even at private sectors like real estate or advertising. So this applies not only to government, but this applies to private sector. So if someone says, well, it applies for private sector, government and private sector, private businesses. Private sectors like real estate or advertising. For example, paying for client referrals without disclosure can violate these, especially if it harms shareholders or consumers. So for instance, if you're going to a location and you're providing auto detailing services or landscaping services or something like that to a client and to a tenant, to a client, and it's a commercial property or even a private property, it doesn't matter. And you're there and your contract is between your company and that consumer and that client. And someone from the third party from somewhere else that you've never seen from anywhere, that you don't know, from a tree in the woods, comes up and says, hey, I'm not going to allow you to service your client and unless you give me X amount of dollars. And it could be a percentage of that sale or it could be a percentage of your revenue. If you don't have an agreement with them and you don't have anything and they're still strong-arming you into it, you need to talk to an attorney and you need to step back and you need to get some legal advice. You need to contact who you need to contact and get it sorted out. If you don't want to do that, then you may need to call your client or your customer and say, hey, it's not going to work today. Tell them the situation, let them handle it. But anyway, let me go ahead and continue down. Exceptions, rare and narrow. There is exceptions. Legal alternatives exist if fully disclosed and not coercive, such as transparent referral fees between licensed professionals, okay? Up to 25% of commissions in some real estate states, okay? So customary industry incentives that don't influence impartial decisions. Now, where this can actually harm a consumer when you come back up here is if it harms shareholders or consumers, is where, let's say someone comes up to you and they say, hey, to have access to your client, I need 5%. And you're thinking, well, I can't, your business can't eat the 5%. So then you pass it on to the customer as a fee. Well, that's harming a consumer. That's harming the client and the customer. That's bad business. It's just bad all the way around. I mean, it's just bad. So you really need to look at this. Okay. Third party cannot legally demand a kickback from a small business in exchange for allowing access to a private consumer or permitting product service delivery. If that demand meets the elements of commercial bribery, extortion, or unfair trade practices, blocking access unless payment is made is especially problematic and often crosses into criminal territory. Law. This is just one law offering or demanding secret payments to influence business conduct. Example given, a property manager demanding 10% of a contractor's fee to let them serve tenants. Torturous interference with a contract, intentionally blocking a valid business relationship. Third party threatening to deny access to a shared platform or marketplace unless paid. That means if you're someplace and it's a public and it's a shared space and it's a shared place and it's out there and they're demanding to get paid, That could be torturous interference with a contract. The next thing, extortion and coercion, criminal in all states. It's criminal in all states, not just one or two, all states. Using threats to obtain property or money. Okay, pay me 15% or I'll make sure your product never reaches the customer. Okay, next one, unfair competition. UCC state UDAP laws, deceptive or oppressive business practices. Gatekeeper demanding undisclosed fees that inflate consumer cost. Okay. Real world analogies. These are some examples. HOA or condo board member demanding a cut from a vendor to improve service for residents. That equals commercial bribery. Marketplace operator. Example given. A flea market. Online platform. Okay. Charging an undisclosed fee to allow sales. May violate transparency rules. If they haven't presented you with any of the rules or the laws up front before you ever got there, the third party didn't, then it's not on you. It's just something out of the air. You need to get everything in writing. If someone is demanding something out of you, you need to get it in writing. If they say, well, it's a policy, what policy? If they say it's a law, what law? Cite it. It can't just be your policy, and if they say it's a law, then they need to cite the law. You need to ask for documentation. Delivery gatekeeper. Apartment complex using security, refusing entry unless tipped. That's extortion, if it's mandatory. Okay. What might be legal? Transparent, agreed upon access fee. Example given, booth rental platform commission. Now, if you agree that you're going to go into a certain place and you agree in writing beforehand that you are going to give a percentage, a fee, a commission off of each thing that you're selling or to each service that you're providing on that person's property or what have you, then that's legal. But they have to present it to you. They just can't do it verbally. And they can't send it to you and say, all of a sudden, if you've been there for X amount of time serving clients, and then all of a sudden they just say, I'm going to start charging you now. You need to contact an attorney. And then you need to realize that if it's not worth the headache, then just walk away. If it's not enough money for you to justify having to get an attorney to fight it, it may just be time just to say, moving on, pack it up, and go. Get on your horse and go to the next town. Go over to the next project. You know, there's more consumers out there for whatever product or service that you're providing than have to worry about dealing with this crap. What can you do if this is happening? Okay, document everything, emails, texts, contracts, and threats. Refuse in writing. Okay, you could do all this. Now, let's say a property manager is denying access to an auto detailing business, okay, in exchange for a kickback. They cannot legally deny your auto detailing business access to a private residence property in exchange for a kickback or percentage of sale. This is a textbook case of commercial bribery, extortion, and torturous interference with a business relations. Okay. Commercial bribery, most states, okay. Demanding payment to influence access to customers is bribery, even in private settings. Extortion or coercion, criminal in all 50 states. Example given, pay me X% or you don't work here, using threats to extract money. Torturous interference, civil law and common law state statutes intentionally blocking your existing or prospective contract with a resident. The other one is unfair, deceptive trade practices, state UDAP laws and misrepresentative authority, or using leverage to extract hidden fees. So even if the manager, so look at this example, even if the manager says it's just a policy, that does not make it legal if the policy is secret, coercive, or undisclosed to the resident. Doesn't matter. So that means if someone comes up to you, I want you to read that again. Even if the manager, okay, this goes for anybody. If anybody comes up and they say to the manager this, or they're over this, hey, it don't mean anything. If your client doesn't know anything about the policy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make it legal. Okay? So you have to kind of navigate this. So real world presidents, okay? These are actual cases, okay, that have happened across the country, okay? First one, HOA property manager fined $10,000 for demanding 15% from landscapers. That's Florida in 2022. If you're running a business and you have a 40% gross profit margin and you're looking at giving 15% away, I mean, you're not making any money. That could put businesses out and it sets the precedent, because when you have bad actors, birds of a feather flock together. You don't want to be stuck with it and be known as your brand, to be known as the business that gives kickbacks to everybody and gives people percentages of whatever you're making just for the hell of it. You don't want that. Apartment complex sued for blocking movers unless paid an access fee, ruled extortion. That was in California. Condo board member jailed for taking cash from contractors to approve jobs. New York. Plumber trying to serve a client. If you're a plumber, yes, a property manager cannot legally block you from your plumbing business from serving a resident just to extract a kickback or percentage of your fee. This is commercial bribery, extortion, and torturous interference, all illegal in private apartments or condos. So this applies across the board. Torturous interference, state UDP, blocking your contract, pay me 10% or if you don't fix the leak, or you don't fix the leak, that's coercion. So then when you come down here and we're asking, okay, let's look at Florida laws, okay? Commercial bribery, okay? First degree misdemeanor. Extortion, second degree felony. 15 years in prison. Talking a lot. Even if they say it's just vendor policy, it's still illegal if the fee is secret, not unleased or disclosed to the owner. It's tied to your revenue. You're blocked from serving a paying customer. That's illegal. Your 5-step Florida action plan, okay? So it gives you an action plan and everything else. Bottom line, that's it. So if you're looking at this, right, and let's just refocus. We're going to say auto detailing business, I should say providing service to client business owner, and this happens a lot. This is what auto detailers deal with. This is business. This is a side of things that no one wants to talk about. Texas Pacific and this is for Texas. It is illegal kickback demands. So if you're out there, right, and we're going to look at Texas, I'm going to plug in for Arkansas, I'm going to plug in for, let's see, another big state, Georgia. We're going to look at Florida. We're going to look at Arizona. We're going to look at a few different states, and we're going to look at the actual laws. I want you to see this because education and knowledge is power. Okay, this will at least give you some kind of education and some kind of foresight moving forward to know what to look for and know that it's not right. Okay, what is right and what isn't right. So let's look at this. If you're on property manager cannot legally deny your auto detailing business access to a client's vehicle on a property, even if the client is a business owner using the space in exchange for a kickback or percentage of your fee. This is commercial bribery, extortion, and torturous interference. All illegal where the client is resident, tenant, or business owner. See that? So in the state of Texas, it's 100% illegal. Commercial bribery, here's all your codes. It doesn't matter if your client is a resident, a business owner renting the space, a visitor with permission. You have a contract that cannot block you for personal gain. So if you have a contract with someone and they are there on that commercial property and you're there to provide a service, they can't stop you. They cannot stop you. Can't. Third party can't just come up and say, you're going to stop providing the service. Can't. Because if the consumer and if the client contracted you to do those services and provide that product or that service on that, at that exact address, at that place, that's between you and a client. Third party is going to have to just deal with it. It's going to be a headache, but that's where you have to decide, is it worth the headache? So, okay. So you can also file a complaint. This goes across all of them. You could do, in Texas, for instance, Texas Attorney General, you can contact your local district attorney, your attorney general's office, and local law enforcement about it. Something that you can do that is legal, though, in this kind of situation, it's a flat $25 parking access fee disclosed in the lease. It has to be disclosed in the lease with your client, not between you, your client. It has nothing to do with you. Illegal is a percentage of your detailing revenue. That's illegal. Vendor badge, one-time flat fee. Illegal is a secret kickback. So, for instance, if we're going into some of the places that we go into some pretty high-end, high-scale neighborhoods where movie stars, actors, actresses, movie producers, politicians, etc., you kind of get the drift, live and where they're at. And those neighborhoods are very, very highly regulated as far as who gets in and get out. You can kind of go figure that, you can kind of figure that. But for security reasons, they have ID tags that stick on the windshield of your vehicle. If it's your service vehicle, or like in situations we have it on service vehicles and private vehicles, to be able to have access to the neighborhood, they have a security gate that scans it, and then it opens up, and voila. You have to buy that tag. It's like $20 a year or whatever, and they renew it. Okay, that's different. Yeah, but they're not telling anybody that, they're not telling the plumbers that are going in there dealing with these clients. They're not telling the interior designers going in there, hey, we need a percentage or a kickback. They're not doing that. So that's the difference in between someone just coming up and saying, hey, I need 10%, I need 20%, I need 15% of your revenue. That's illegal. That's illegal. Under what grounds? If you're not having a co-op, if you don't have a cooperative agreement, an actual legal agreement, a business contract lined up, and you're in a partnership agreement or a cooperative agreement, and I would definitely, if you're looking at doing something like that, have a business attorney look over it, read over it, review it, and give the okay on it. So that way you don't get in a situation that you don't really want to be in. Okay? Bottom line, Texas Autos Detailing, no, a property manager cannot legally block your detailing rig for a cut of your cash. You can actually, this is what this is saying, cut of your cash, lock the contract, document, report. You can sue. If we look up Florida, I'm just going to go B. So even in Florida, okay, when you're looking at this and you're like, man, I just don't know. Florida is illegal too. Florida property manager cannot legally gatekeep your detailing services for a revenue cut. This is the actual statute. That's the statute that you see right there, right down there, or whichever way you see it. It's an actual statute. It's a law. So protect yourself. Now, this isn't legal advice. This is just informative. This is information that's just out there. That's, readily available. Google is a great tool. AI is a great tool too, when you use it correctly. So, and if you just do your research, it's all there. So there's a lot of information out there. But again, if you have any other questions, contact an attorney, contact local law enforcement. If you need clarification on something, do not be afraid to call your state attorney general's office, law enforcement, or whoever else that you need to get clarification on it and report it, especially if it's something that's big. If you're in the middle of a big contract and it's $15,000, $20,000, $10,000, something like that, and somebody is trying to strong arm you or press you, yeah, get an attorney, definitely report it. Or do what an attorney says. That's the main thing. Get an attorney, talk to an attorney first, figure it out. So, but anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to like and subscribe. Remember to hit that bell for new notifications for videos just like this, y'all. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.